Howdy Moz fans, and welcome to another edition of Whiteboard Friday. This week we're going to chat about a question we see a lot here at Moz around what you should do with websites that you maybe design or build or do work for, your clients' websites, if you're an agency or consultant or a web designer or builder, sites that you own but are not your primary website, and widgets and embeds, blog rolls, all these kinds of things where you control the link infrastructure or could control it. And should you? I think one of the challenges here is to understand that many folks have recognized that over the years, widgets, embeds, links from client websites have gotten other sites penalized, potentially even your sites penalized over the years because you've had all these links that you control pointing back to places, and to Google that can look really sketchy. And so I want to talk through some best practices about how you can get link benefit and value from these places without getting yourself into trouble. All right, the challenge here is, let's say that I own sneakerobsessed.com, but it is not my primary website, or maybe it's a client's website, but I do own sneakysneakers.com. And I'm thinking to myself, gosh, you know, the fact that I control, I have the login for the admin here, the site owner, or me would be fine with linking from these pages to these pages. What should I do there? I don't want to get into trouble, but I would love to get some benefit, and I think that these links could help me. Should I add a link from every page here to a bunch of pages here, or to my home page? Should I link to a variety of my pages, like take a few of these and link them to my home page, take a few others and link to some internal pages? Should I use a single page on this website to link back to maybe my home page? And the answer is kind of, it depends. It depends. My recommendations are, if this is a client website or a site you've done work for, a site you designed or built or your agency did, if you have clientdomain.com, what I'm going to suggest is that you take a page, the About page, or a page you specifically built like About This Site, and you link to that page from the footer or the sidebar or the header, or it's kind of one of those things that gets us linked to from a lot of pages, like the About page or the Contact page would get, or the privacy policy, those kinds of things would get on clientdomain.com. And you make that the only page where you intentionally, specifically link back to your domain. And you essentially have some blurb about, here are the details about the designer or developer, the technologies used on this website, those kinds of things. And if you would like to get in touch with the creator of this website, it is these folks over here. And that points over to you. That means you essentially have a site-wide link to one page, which is flowing a lot of link equity to that single page on your client's website, and that link is pointing over to you. This is very unlikely to be penalized. It's very likely to draw in clicks, right? It has all these beneficial properties. For sites that you own, so myothersite.com and mymainSite.com, right? What I'm going to suggest here is that you don't have an intentional specific link strategy like, okay, 1 out of 3 pages I'm going to have link. I'm going to have them link to these pages in particular. I'm going to have the anchor text always be this. Don't set up that kind of policy or process. Instead, I want you to focus on providing visitor value. Reference things on your main site when they are relevant to content on your other site. And this should happen naturally and organically. Anytime you're referencing other content you've created or things that you've done or recognition that you have or someone else from your organization, you would naturally link over here. That's the way you should play it, not with some specific process and checklist. Anything that matches a very standard pattern is going to be easily recognized by Google, and that can get you into trouble. With blog rolls and syndicators and those type of sites, it's a little less stringent because blog rolls have this unique, and so do syndicators, have these unique attributes of basically saying it is the right thing to do for a blog roll when it exists on, it's usually on one of the sidebars of a blog. Sometimes the blog's homepage, sometimes every page of a blog. It's usual for those to be kind of site-wide styled links that always point back to the other blogs' websites, homepage or blog pages. And that's okay here too. That is not a big problem. The only time you get into real trouble is if that blog roll is essentially just a paid manipulation. It's technically a blog network. It's not that you're being editorially endorsed by someone else. They're only linking to you because you're linking to them, right? You get into that reciprocity challenge. That's not to say you should never link to anyone who has you in their blog role either. It's just that this has to look natural and editorial to Google or you can get in trouble. Syndicators, by the way, it's okay to link from every syndicated piece of content back to the original piece of content. In fact, that's the way it should be. If you do your own syndication, like I do sometimes on Medium, where I put up my blog posts that I've already put on moz.com/rand on medium.com/randfish, then you should have each of those link back to their original pieces, and that's just fine. For widgets and embeds, things get a little dicier, and this is actually where we see a ton of penalties. Not to say that people don't have problems with their client sites too a lot of the time, but widgets and embeds have been particularly taken to task by Google in the recent past. So the idea here is that you have this piece of content here that's being embedded from your site. So, Sneaker Obsessed, maybe the guys there went to Sneaky Sneakers. They saw a data graph of Nike shoes versus Adidas shoe sales over the last 12 months, and they were like, oh man, I really want to show that. That's awesome. And in fact, there's a little embed this graph onto your own website. And so they took that, they put it on there. You get into more dangerous territory with this type of thing when there is, in the link between here, there's keyword matching anchor text, no opt-out option, meaning there's no way to say, I don't want to include a link to the original. When visitors are very unlikely to click that link, when there's no sort of, oh, why would I ever click on the attributed link from the embed? When it's remotely controlled via JavaScript, meaning you can remotely update this link in anchor text, that gets real sketchy. When the widget's purpose feels like it exists only for links, like it's not particularly useful, there's not a clear reason why this is a widget instead of just a graphic that other people can use or content they can syndicate, why make it a widget, as opposed to something like a graph whose data can change, or an interactive content element, or a video player, or something like that, right? And then any sort of payment or discounts that you offer, or coercion to get people to embed it, gets you into more dangerous territory. You're much less likely to have problems if you keep that anchor text branded or omitted entirely. It's non-branded anchor text. It's just your brand name, or it's very limited. It just says, data via, and via is the link itself. Opt out of the link is available, meaning that someone could say, yeah, I want to embed that. Include a link back to sneakysneakers.com? No, thank you. There should be a compelling reason to click. That embed is static. It's not controlled by JavaScript. The widget feels like it's reference focused, so there's actually some value there. And it's only embedded or intentionally by those who are naturally and editorially choosing to include it. That will keep you safe. Hopefully, you will not encounter these problems. I think if you follow these rules, you'll be in a safe zone, and you'll also be benefiting from the link value that these can provide. Look forward to your comments. We'll see you again next week for another edition of Whiteboard Friday.